It's all goddamn hot. The devil was like, I think I'll start dropping niggas off here. Want to run out of room there. It's not that bad. Shit, it is that bad. It's real. It's so bad. I'm glad it ain't real right now. I'm like, fuck this. I'm glad I'm a dummy. Y'all niggas going through it.
What's going on, y'all? Cutty from Cutty TV. We are here live with Don Williams and Wilson. Real talk comedy in the building. What's going on, brother?
Great things are happening, Cutty.
I know you are everywhere. I mean, we've been doing Xtreme Comedy Club for about 4 Thursdays now, and they've been getting lit every single last one. So I've been learning a lot about you, but I wanted to bring you onto the platform so people can learn more. You know, we have a 30-minute special on Cutty TV, and I know that the people are just wondering who the person is, and here is the person, Don Williams and Wilson.
Well, first of all, I'm very humbled and I'm thankful to have a platform of inspiring the world and adding to the game of comedy.
For sure.
It
And you
is
have Wilson's there somewhere too, right?
I do.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, we'll bring him out later. But let's talk about Don Williams first. So just who Don Williams is, where are you from, actually? I personally don't know where you're from. I know you did a lot of work inside of New York City.
Yeah.
You love NY, but you're here in Vegas. So where are you originally from?
Some of here, some of there, some of everywhere.
I see that. I see
I'm
that.
messing with you. Yeah, I'm originally out of VA.
Okay. Okay.
Out of VA. Yeah, and I started my craft, of course, there after studying, ventriloquists and comedians. And then I made my way to Vegas after a lot of great stops, of course.
Right. So, like, what age?
A great place. Virginia's a great place, by the way. A great place where there was a lot of hustle, a lot of the game of greatness. Just everybody was always thriving to be something and be someone. So I came out of that kind of soil.
For sure. Okay, and then like, what made you want to be a ventriloquist? Like, you're one of the only Black ventriloquists that I've ever seen or know. So it's not something that's common. This is completely something that's added to the field, something that we would have never seen. So what brought you? Obviously, it started inside of Virginia. So tell us about Virginia. Before we talk about New York and Las Vegas, let's talk about the beginning inside of Virginia.
Okay, well, what started me, first of all, I was always cut. And my family could tell you that I was always the one that had to move the living room table back so I could perform. And that was as a child. I played piano at my Aunt Ruth's. I don't remember everything that young, but I used to entertain audiences on the piano and doing the comedy and the singing thing, right? But how the ventriloquism started, a great man by the name of Willie Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Willie Tyler and Lester on the ABC special, and Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. So when I would see them, like, I was enthralled. Of course, I saw Jay Johnson on Soap. I was very enthralled. I was taken by the craft, just wondering, how they did that. How they did what? Come on, man, hold on, relax. But how they talked, how they had what we called them at that time dummies, and how they made them work. I was just intrigued. I'd always loved the Muppet Show.
Mm-hmm.
Madam, which was a puppet back in the day, she was a very rich doll, and she ended up being on solid gold. So I always loved puppetry. How I got into it, girls, if they weren't supposed to have a guy call them to the house, I would always change my voice, like I was a teacher who wanted to talk to them, about their grades, right?
Right.
So the voice characteristics, and always had a way with imitating, right? So between that and working on the craft, that's how I started. And I started in the mirror, 3 to 8 hours a day. I promised I'd quit everything I was doing. And 3 to 8 hours a day, I would just be in the mirror working on the mastery of lip control, quick exchange, muffled voices, just different things of the craft of ventriloquism. Always checking out books at the junior high school, probably still owing some of them. I don't know. No. But I really,
I said you got to return those books back.
I got to return them books back after 37 years. So, but probably 12,000 by now. But I was always studying and reading up on ventriloquism and comedy, and that's just how it, evolved.
Right. So now that we know the story, you have a black doll, and he's real to the core. I think he's a little bit more real than you at times by the things that he says. What makes you want to take that approach? You know what I'm saying? You can have any type of theme in the world, but you decide to go with real talk comedy. And Wilson is such a great addition to your show. So let's just talk about what made you want to name him Wilson. What made you want to go that way with his character, and just what it does for you.
I love the way you open up the behind the scenes narrative, the creative process, because most people, when they see you in a certain space, they think it's just automatic. But over the years, like Michael Jackson always said, rest in peace, to be great, you got to study the greats. And I know there's a lot of controversy going on. And I don't want to get into that. And I'm sorry for any people who have been through a difficult situation, but I do remember a comedian, I'll just say, very well known, was controversially discussed at this time as I was studying. And I remember him saying, they asked him about the characters on this cartoon. And he said, the characters has to be a real part of your life. Well, in Tyler and Lester, he knew a dude that was actually like that. So I was like, well, with my character, who could I say this character is? Because when you're creating a character, like Sir Tyler Perry, who does a brilliant job with Medea, Eddie Murphy, who's also a genius, he's a lot of great diversities, but one of my faves is Norbit. And what I realized, or the Godfather, I call him Red Fox, who was the grumpy old man in a way, he actually got the character from his dad. So studying those greats, I realized it has to be something that is natural, that you're naturally accustomed to, that you've naturally been in the environment of, and not something fictitiously made up, because then it becomes, even though it's an act, but it becomes a fictitious act, and it's the realness that makes the character empowered. You know what I'm saying? So as I studied the character of Wilson Real Talk, he's really the personality of my mother and my Aunt Ruth. I took care of my mother till she passed. She had Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. I bathed her, dressed her, clothed her until she left here. And the rest of my family did well by her as well. But my mother and Aunt Ruth, they had this kind of tell it like it is personality. And another thing I want to say on the comedy aspect of it, there are a lot of, and I'm not rambling on, I'm really here to add to the game, to bless the planet, but also to bring the originality of what real art is.
Right.
Like Picasso, his paintings has to be real from his perspective. Get what I'm saying? Edgar Allan Poe, his poems has to be real from his perspective. And for me, I did try clean comedy, and of course I can do it. A true artist is whatever is needed at the time.
Right.
If you need a Phillips screwdriver, or if you need a flathead, I can be all of that.
Correct.
But as far as a main brand, I realized that I did not come up around darn and oh my gosh, I came up around a different approach.
Right.
So what I did was I said, if I'm going to do this, I have to be very clear, I have to be unequivocal about my experience. Because to be clear, the world is really looking for you,
Right.
not for what people want you to be, but what your historical application and your experimental application has been. And I experienced real talk
Right.
or real approach, from a Black perspective, if I
Right.
could add. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does for sure. I want to know about your Virginia days. So when you first started, how was the reaction to how people reacted to your comedy? Like, was it like people accepted it at first? Did they think it was weird that you were doing it? Like, what's the realness behind that?
Man, you are an excellent interviewer. I promise you. I love the questions because they're spot on, because an interview is supposed to help the people who are on the path you're on, and it's supposed to speak to the people who are round about the road that you're on. You know what I'm saying? So even if you're not a ventriloquist, even if you're not a comedian, we have to speak to people from all walks of life that you don't leave them clueless.
Right.
So at the beginning of my ventriloquism, they thought it was weird. Because I was a little black boy walking around with a dog, and everybody else was playing football, which I was playing football, but I quit everything.
Right.
Once I started with this, I quit everything. And my Aunt Bernice bought me my very first figure. Speaking of black, he was a Howdy Doody, and he was a white character.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really care because I just wanted to move with the art and move with the craft. But my mother was like, of course, she had a lot of white friends, Jewish, Italian. She was like, if you're going to make it a pair, he needs to be like your brother, your nephew, or your son.
All right.
And I don't think I have any white nephews. Or my son is black. We have white friends, but he's black. So she was like, it has to be a pair. So I tried to paint him, being a kid, I was only 10 years old, with a black magic marker. And I was coloring him in. I'm 10. And my mother says, son, and this is not going to work. So she got rid of the character. Then a close friend of the family brought me a Lester, which was a black character.
Mm-hmm.
But they thought it was weird because I walked everywhere with him. I took him to school. I took him to the mall. I took him to my Aunt Bernice's house. Everywhere I went, I took him practicing night and day. I promise you, my mother had to tell me, okay, let that rest,
Right,
So they
right,
thought,
right. Yeah, we get
yeah,
it.
yeah. And then she would tell me, clean up my room. And she was like, which one, me or him? And she was like, don't talk to me through the dog. She really, I'm serious right now,
Right.
It was my way of showing affection to her because my father died when I was 8 from bone cancer.
Right.
So I do want to add to the Cancer Society as well. But some thought it was 30% thought it was weird, but 70% thought it was creative. And they felt like that I should pursue it. And they had never seen anyone at my age carrying around what we called then dummies, but us in the ventriloquial world called ventriloquial figures. So it was a mixture of both.
Right. Okay.
I started entering talent shows. I was a part of something called Center Stage with Margie Day Walker, rest in peace, who was a great jazz artist. Florence Kendall, people like that, Terrence F. Anderson with drama and theater. I started doing entertainment at 11 as far as on the stage.
Right.
I was so nervous. I would have to go to the bathroom 3 and 4 times before a show, and I would just have to change clothes 2 and 3 times from profuse sweating because I was scared to death of the crowds.
Right.
You understand? I performed more when it was a large crowd, than a few people. But when it comes to the entertainment, then I started talent shows.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of talent shows. I've done over 1,000. Over 1,000. And if I could speak to the, please, excuse me. If I could speak to the social media entertainers, I have no problem. And I'm just answering what you're saying because we're talking about, not off, but just now. We're talking about talent development,
Right.
you know, and showmanship and entertainment development. If I could say this, when you're developed before cameras, you lose steps.
Right.
You lose steps. Even if you have the numbers, you don't have the truth of development. No disrespect, like Michael Jackson, all those guys, they perform in night spots. They were on the stage. And I'm not trying to stay old fashioned and stuff in the past as if change is not for the better.
Mm-hmm.
But greatness only has one kind of mold, if I could say. And so Michael, they were performing in night spots and they were performing before Barry Gordy, before they got to the cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So on the talent shows, you get showmanship, presentation, presence, material, you know, accuracy of your art, you know, crowd participation. It's just so many different things that you get from talent shows because the feedback of an audience develops you faster than the responses of the cameras.
Right, right.
You understand? So I was doing talent shows at all the local clubs, Raphael's, it's many of them. It was the best to me. I didn't do a lot of comedy clubs at the time. It was mainly adult clubs. And I got into the comedy clubs later.
Right. I was gonna say, so speaking on that, I want to know, like, what show was it for you in Virginia? Because this is all before even the Apollo. So what show did you feel like really happened that you felt the transition? Like you were going to a new level, you know, whether it was just you met that person, the right person, or it's a show in mind that you experienced before you experienced the big shows that was like, this was my turning point right here.
Okay, in Virginia, I asked Sugar Ray Leonard to jump on the stage and dance, and Millie Jackson, which was and still is a great performer, a great artist who is really uncategorized in some ways because she's a comedic musician.
Right.
But the turning point for me was when I got to Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Because I was staying with my Aunt Bernice, and she was like, as the family, I was like, go pull out the doll, pull out the doll. Some guy was visiting Mr. Steve from the St. Thomas, and she was like, he has a friend at the club in Maryland. Go pull out the doll. I was like, Aunt Bernice, I don't want to pull out the doll. You know, so she begged me for about a half hour. Remember, I was about 14, 15 now, maybe 16. To pull out the doll, pull out the doll. And when I pulled him out, the man was like, I know a talent show. I can't think of the club, but I ended up performing against or going up against Pierre. I don't know if Dave Chappelle, who's doing wonderful right now, was in that show. But after that happened, I kept winning. I went back to Virginia. They wanted me to keep coming because, you know, it was a contest where if you win this, you go to the next level. If you win that, you go to the next level. And I kept winning, I'll humbly say. And so I got to the main event of the talent show. I won. Well, so this woman came there. So these comedians, you know, the whole show, hey man, somebody from Showtime at the Apollo is looking for you. And of course, I'm like, you are comedians. You know, I don't believe you. You know, so the third guy came, somebody from the Apollo. I was like, yeah, right, I hear you. So I was almost going out, and this is why good luck is a part of the deal. You know, you put your 110 in. Talent is 10%, but 90% hard work. But there's a percentage of good luck because I was leaving, and this woman who was with oh man, I gotta think of his name, Hal Jackson.
Okay.
Hal Jackson, a major shout out to his family, rest in peace. Hal Jackson was a major personality in New York before you had the Wendy Williams, before you had Charlemagne the God, you had Hal Jackson. You understand?
Right.
So she was his niece, and she was like, "Oh, Don Williams, I'm here from the Apollo Theater." I was like, "Yeah, I know. You're in on it with the rest of the comedians. I hear you, right?" "No, I really am. I really am." "Yeah, I got you. I gotta go." So someone called her. She turned around, and in the back of the jacket, a silk jacket, it was Showtime at the Apollo. She turned back around and said, "What were you saying?" I was like, "Oh, pleasure to meet you. Glad to meet you. Yeah, I know you're here, you know." So then I had to audition, and I was nervous. I was shaking in my boots. And before I finished, they said, "You got the part. You're gonna be a star." And that's what happened with Augie Ogborn at Showtime at the Apollo Theater in New York.
Okay. So now let's before we leave out, I want to talk about the Apollo. So you performed there 3 times, right?
Ooh, I'm nervous right now talking about it.
So what's the what happened with that situation? So you performed there, you got the opportunity, they loved you, they brought you on stage, you went back 3 times. Like what happened within that situation that you can kind of explain?
Well, first of all, the dudes I was hanging out with said, if they boo you, the dummy's legs gonna be dangling. You know. So my friends didn't help. But, you know, they were like, you could do this, you could do this. Here's the process. You go through the back door. The green room is like, it's like a basement as far as placage.
Mm-hmm.
And the stage is over top of you. I got a chance to see Run DMC, rest in peace, Jam Master Jay, rehearse, Third World, Patti LaBelle, Kid and Play at that time, which are creators, great creators, and creators of the culture, really.
Mm-hmm.
I got to see them. Sir Chris Rock is where I got dropping the mic on stage from, who I saw in the rafters, stage left. And it was nerve-wracking because, for one, no disrespect, but you know, around the 20s, the Apollo Theater to us was the Broadway to everyone else. If I could say everyone else, you know, everyone else. And it was the only place. They started the booing, I believe, around the 30s or 40s, possibly the 50s. I don't want to misquote any historical moments. But for me, what made the Showtime at the Apollo the turning point, pinnacle, is they did not play off of sympathy. They played off of your strengths.
Right.
You understand? I love America's Got Talent. I love American Idol. All of those things. Solid Gold was before these talent shows, which were beautiful. They had Sullivan Show, which were beautiful. But the thing about Showtime at the Apollo, they made you work for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and fear is an element of empowerment. You can't just, they weren't, "Oh, we hope you do good." Yay, it wasn't that. It was boo, boo. And it made you work hard. It made you face fear. It made you face it and overcome it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's the part that I love about the original Showtime at the Apollo, where you had to work for it. And at that time, really only musicians and singers got the applause. You know, And if you couldn't sing, you pulled it off with a gospel song, and they had mercy because you sang about Jesus. So Jesus got you through it. But at the end of the day, you had to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I see Showtime at the Apollo as a turning point for me and any artist. It's the mecca for Black talent, and it's the go ahead, the green light for any great approval.
Right, right. So now, where did that experience lead you to? Like, what did it? So you went through it. You performed at the Apollo 3 times. You met a bunch of legends. I know it had to cater to your craft in some way. So what did after the Apollo do for you?
Sir, after that, it was launching to the sky. I mentioned Mr. Dave Chappelle. We were on BET's Teen Summit. I can't think of the woman's name. It wasn't Donnie Simpson, but it was another woman on Teen Summit. And Dave Chappelle was up there, and Tommy Davidson. Then it went to opening for Eddie Griffin, who I call the son of Sir Richard Pryor, the greatest of all times.
Mm-hmm.
It had me to share the stage with Mr. Bernie Mac, Odell Givens, rest in peace, true giants, people like D.L. Hughley. This was a show I got a chance to be on with Def Jams.
Yeah.
I didn't tour with them, but I got a chance to be on stage with them.
Wow, that's after the fact. So let's just fast forward to here to give them one last thing before we leave. Now you have your own 30-minute special. You're at Xtreme Comedy Club. You basically have a residency there now. So just fast forwarding, like, I mean, what do you have to say for yourself? You know, you've done so much. You're here now. People have a special that they can go see. It's all you. It's all your content. It's all original. So just the after.
Well, first of all, I want to say, because there may be the question of where's he been. I've been in humility. I've been in humble mode. So I took some time away because I felt like the average audience, I was over the average audience, even though I was younger than the average of my audience. I felt like I had not had enough experience of life itself. So I took some time off to experience regular life away from the spotlight. There was no problems in the industry of entertainment. I just took time away from it. But before that happened, Eddie Griffin, the comedy circuits, people like Wanda Page, rest in peace, who opened for a gentleman by the name of Wildman Steve. And of course, I questioned her about the great Red Fox. And I had a lot of experiences with just the greats, those who do it best and knew it best. Yeah. That's my phrase. I need to coin that for somebody to steal it. But those that do it best and do it best. So when I returned in Vegas, I felt like I had a greater respect. I always loved and respected. I mean, I studied Moms Mabley, I studied Flip Wilson, Bob Hope, Don Rickles, right, who was a major royal. Don Knotts, who played on Dick Van Dyke and then went to Three's Company, great slapstick, great physical comedian, Bob Hope, people like David Letterman. You got people like Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz, of course, the one and only Eddie Murphy. Of course, I named Red Fox, Odell. People like some more, the female comic, with the short hair. Of course, Wanda Sykes.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of with the gold hair who was recently Luenell.
Okay.
The one and only that never left you lonely. Rest in peace to Mr. Paul Mooney, Marshall Warfield, who's still with us, Robin Williams, rest in peace, Mr. Weatherspoon. So I'm saying all that to say this, and I'm saying all this to say that, and that back to this, is that me returning to this world of beauty and color, I have a greater respect now because I see that the regular life taught me my responsibility to the civilian life. You understand? Because knowing the pain of ordinary people who work the 9 to 5, people who are blue collar, white collar, work just as hard, if not harder, than an entertainer. But the difference is what we're made to be, and who we're called to become and where we're meant to go. So it's not that the entertainer is a better person. It's just the entertainer has a greater responsibility. And that's to make the civilian and the entertainer forget his or her problems and go back at life greater than they were before they saw your show. So returning, I have a greater respect for the craft. I need to say this. Everything funny is not comedy, but all comedy is funny. And I said that because it has changed a lot, and I respect all the artists. Anybody who's doing comedy, I applaud, because it's a third eye. There's a greater envisionment that must take place to rearrange what everyday life experience is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But at the same time, I don't get material off of my audience.
Right.
To me, it's like going to a mechanic and him saying, "Hey, yo, you got a pair of pliers?"
Like, no, I expect you to have it.
Right? You know, or going to the barber and say, "Yo, man, let me see. You got a pair of clippers in your bag, man, for me, man. My mind ran hot. And I'm gonna cut you up. I'm gonna give you a discount." You know, it's like no disrespect, but talent is 10%.
Right.
You know, 90% is hard work, and the other 25% is good luck.
Wait, 25?
Exactly. It's 125. It's not just a straight 100. It's 125. You see what I'm saying? You have to have the good luck, but the good luck comes. Good luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Right.
Okay. So you can wing it off of your audience, but that's not material. It can become material, but material is when you show up, I'm already prepared.
Right.
It's the law of preparation. Right. Right. Secondly, you don't know who can't handle that, where people are in their space of pain and despair. When I first saw Sir Tyler Perry and Medea, when it was in the play level, I was very broken. I was going through a very atrocious space in a relationship. My mother was sick. So when I saw Sir Tyler Perry, if I had seen him in person, he'd joke me. I don't know how I would have been able to deal with that. I think the comedian needs to understand, with all due respect, that, and this is what I learned from my time of humble being off, these are real people. This is why I came up with the Real Talk brand. Real people in real situations, real circumstances of real life.
Right.
And you don't know where people are in life. So to build off of my audience, to me, it means I'm riding on fumes. It means I'm riding off of creative process, but I'm not moving in creative power.
Right.
You understand? Process is something in private. Process is nothing open. Like you know, you're not going to show all of us what you're doing with the camera to get it right. Like, we don't see all of that. We just see the video that you did back in the job on Don William and Wilson show in Las Vegas. But you didn't show us you at home, piece of something, say, oh, bring me that over there. That's not in the video.
Right.
So process is private. The magic is public.
Right.
And to me, when you miss the element of creating, along with the talent of off the rip, but when you miss the element, you leave out writing.
Right.
You leave out what made Walt Disney, what made Warner Brothers, what made Muppet Show, what made Tom and Jerry, what made David Letterman on Good Times, the Jeffersons, All in the Family, Sanford and Son. You take away the element of empowerment, and that is writing. Writing is also an official skill. And if I may add, whenever you do one level of anything, you've really failed.
All right. Okay.
You have to progress, and writing is a part that you can do behind the scenes. You can write movies, you can write plays. If you just tell jokes and never learn writing to write the jokes, then you limit yourself to the stage. But if you work the writing, you can eventually write for others, like Sir Paul Mooney did, for Richard Pryor or Mr. Red Fox.
Okay, so a lot of gems being dropped. I didn't even want to interrupt. A lot of gems being dropped. I wanted to bring you in here so people can know your before story, and not all the glitz and glamour. Just get to really know, you, where you're from, what you're about, what real talk comedy means to you, so that they can fully understand, so that when they're watching your shows, they know a little bit more of you. So,
well, listen, I know what it is to catch the bus in 100-degree weather. I know what it is to catch 3 buses to work and still far from the job.
Right.
I know what it is to have 2 or 3 regular jobs. I know what it is to work all week and just have enough for lunch money.
Right.
I know what it is to be homeless, to sleep outside. I know what it is to be in a homeless shelter, sir. I know what it is not to be able to get your kids. I know what it is to cry all night, to sleep outside at the beach, and not because you're living the good life, but because you have nowhere else to go.
Right.
And I know what it is to be in a hotel, not because somebody paid for the room, but I'm playing it off in the lobby. Yeah, I got somebody coming. 2 hours later, yeah, they're on the way. 3 hours later, they got caught up in traffic. But really, I'm just trying to stay the night. Right. I know what it is to get on the public transit and play it off like I'm searching for the money. But for real, I ain't got none. I'm catching bus stop to bus stop to try to get another job. So I know struggle. And where I am today is not because somebody gave me anything. Nobody gave me anything. If anything, people try to take it from me. I'm just going to be clear about it. So where I am today, I feel that struggle is your teacher and success is your preacher. Struggle teaches you, success speaks for you.
That's right.
I didn't mean to get deep, but I came out of the trenches. All I got is mud on me.
That was a good way to end though. I was just about to say, that's like the perfect ending right there to this. This is like amazing. So we got Don William, we got Wilson in the back. We're gonna bring Wilson in for another interview, but I just wanted to talk to Don William. You guys know Don William, where he's from, what he's about, how he started, and everything that happened after the match. So it's Don William and Wilson. I want you to shout out your social media, anything that you want them to follow up on. Xtreme Comedy Club on Thursdays. So definitely, here's your chance, man.
I want to say this before I give this information. Comedy speaks truth to power. Comedy makes people laugh at their own situations. It enlightens for futuristic, deals with past, current events, as we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And the Real Talk Comedy brand is basically it's a tell it like it is, like Sir Red Fox, the great. I keep mentioning him. Eddie Murphy, people like Sir Richard Pryor, and Don Rickles. But Real Talk Comedy is a real talk. It's something in our community that transcends from tell it like it is, maybe in a middle class, which we're middle, upper, and lower class. We're all of that too.
Mm-hmm.
But what I am saying, the terminology of tell it like it is, I've just branded it from a real talk perspective of telling things how it goes in a real way. And our spin, which still is a touch of class, on the perspective of how to present life through comedy. So they can find us on, number one, go look at that video, Don William and Wilson in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, that's on the Youtube. I said P and B. Youtube, Don William and Wilson show in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And they can find us on IG, Instagram, and that is under Don William and Wilson show as well.
Okay, and then you have a website also so that they can book you.
The website is WilliamandWilsonShow.com. We haven't changed that to Don yet, but it is the WilliamandWilsonShow.com. And on Thursday nights, let me slow that down for those who, what did he say? I didn't hear. Let me get my pen. Pass me my pen. So it's WilliamandWilsonShow.com, WilliamandWilsonShow.com. And if they want to email, it's info, INFO, at, what the @ William, yeah, because some people are like AT,
right.
circle, you know, because you got all A's, you got, but at the @ info at WilliamandWilsonShow.com. All right, and last but not least, at Xtreme Comedy on Thursday nights.
That's right, Xtreme Comedy, Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas, the city of lights where life is lived at night.
That's right.
That's mine too. I need to coin that.
So it was a pleasure having you on here, man. Don William and Wilson. I just wanted to bring you on here again to tell the people who you are, what you got going on, and to definitely go watch your 30-minute special that's out right now. Everybody can go see your work. They can go see Wilson, and they will much likely see you again. So,
I also gotta bring up. I'm on the iconic Michael Collier, who's definitely
a Jerry. About that. Go ahead and talk about that.
Well, you know, you gotta save the best for last.
That's right.
You gotta save the best for last. I didn't mention him first because he's beyond quenching the thirst.
That's right.
I mentioned him last because for years he's given us a blast. I just have to throw that in there. But the iconic Michael Collier show, which is all Monday through Fridays, anyways. He had me on his morning shows, but I am up there reading to the kids on Tuesdays.
Okay.
And I wanted to bring that part up for those who may see the video and say, well, children can't watch this. I mean, if they know it's a word that you don't want them to know, evidently they've heard it before they saw my show. Man, I got bars. But so it's important that they know the kids show that I'm doing with Sir Michael Collier, because it's changing lives. We're talking about the fundamentals of reading for kids. So if that show is over the top for the children, then they can always catch me on Sir Michael Collier's on Tuesdays, which is 2 p.m. PST. I'm deep. You can't tell me nothing now. I finally know what it means. PST, Pacific Standard Time, and then 11 a.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time, or East Coast.
Okay. So, man, it was a pleasure having you on here. Don Williams.
I'm joking.
we're gonna have to come back to do a part 2 so that the people can learn more about you. We're gonna talk more about your achievements and everything else. But let's leave them with this: Don Williams and Wilson on Cutty TV, man. It was a pleasure having you here today.
I love you and thank you. And to all that are watching, I'm here to make you laugh, make the world laugh again, and help you to laugh through your pain.
That's right.